The neon lights of the gas station flickered against the dark evening sky as Mark pulled in, his old sedan coughing softly before finally going quiet. Rain clouds hovered low, and the air smelled faintly of fuel and damp asphalt. In the back seat, his 5-year-old daughter Lily stirred, rubbing sleep from her eyes. "Almost home, sweetheart," Mark whispered. He stepped out, stretching tired shoulders that carried far more than exhaustion, they carried responsibility. Being a single dad meant every day was a balancing act. Bills, school lunches, overtime shifts, and bedtime stories. Tonight had been long. He only wanted coffee and enough gas to make it through the week. As he walked toward the convenience store, Lily's small hand wrapped around his finger, Mark noticed a woman standing near pump 4. She wasn't just upset, she was breaking. Her phone lay lifeless in her palm. Her shoulders shook as silent sobs escaped her chest. She kept swiping tears away, but they returned instantly. Her car looked packed in a hurry, clothes spilling from a half-open trunk, a cracked taillight held together with tape. Mark slowed his steps. He told himself not to stare, not to get involved. He didn't have extra money. He barely had extra energy. But Lily tugged gently at his sleeve. "Daddy, that lady is crying." Mark followed Lily's gaze. The woman tried inserting her card again at the pump. The machine beeped, declined. She let out a shaky breath and leaned against her car, face buried in her hands. Mark felt that familiar ache in his chest, the one that came from remembering his own worst days after Lily's mother had left. The nights he'd sat on the edge of his bed wondering how he'd survive. How Lily would. He hesitated. Then he took a step forward. "Ma'am," he said quietly, keeping his voice gentle. "Are you okay?" She looked up, startled, eyes red and swollen. For a moment, she couldn't speak. Then the words poured out in broken pieces. Her wallet was empty. Her card wasn't working. Her phone had died. She had just left an abusive relationship and was trying to reach her sister 2 towns over. She was scared to sleep in her car. Mark listened without interrupting. He glanced at Lily, who squeezed his hand tighter. Mark exhaled slowly. "I don't have much," he said, pulling out his card. "But I can fill your tank. And maybe get you something warm to eat." Her mouth trembled. "You don't have to," she whispered. "I know," Mark replied. "But I want to." As the pump started, Lily smiled up at the woman. "You're gonna be okay," Lily said softly. And for the first time that night, the woman truly cried. The tank filled slowly, the soft hiss of gasoline blending with the patter of rain on the roof. Inside, Mark held a small brown paper bag with a sandwich and a bottle of water, the simple gesture feeling heavier than any paycheck he'd ever earned. Lily bounced slightly on her toes, clutching a tiny plush bunny she'd brought along, as if it could somehow protect the woman from the storm inside her heart. The woman accepted the bag with trembling hands. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "I don't know how to thank you. I haven't felt safe in months." Mark shook his head gently. "You don't have to thank me. Just get somewhere safe tonight." Her eyes welled up again. She was beautiful in a raw, vulnerable way, not the kind advertised in magazines, but the kind that made you pause, recognizing the courage it took just to exist after heartbreak. For a moment, they all just stood there. The man who had little to give, the little girl whose innocence radiated hope, and the woman whose life felt like it was unraveling. Lily tugged at the woman's sleeve. "Here." She pressed the plush bunny into her hands. "For courage." The woman laughed through her tears, a fragile, bubbling sound that seemed to release some of the tension she'd been carrying for weeks. "Thank you," she whispered. "Really, thank you." Mark watched her, remembering nights he'd walked alone in the dark, wondering if anyone would ever care. He realized that sometimes, people didn't need grand gestures or life-changing advice. Sometimes, they just needed someone to stop and notice them. To reach out with simple humanity. She checked her phone again, hoping for a signal, but the screen remained stubbornly dark. Mark handed her his spare charger. "Here," he said, "it won't fix everything, but it'll help." She accepted it with a nod, swallowing hard as she tried to compose herself. The rain had begun to ease, leaving a silver sheen across the asphalt. The woman started her car, glanced back at them, and whispered, "You've given me more than you know." Mark waved, unsure if he'd ever see her again. Lily waved too, her small hand trembling with the gravity of goodbyes she barely understood. As the taillights disappeared into the night, Mark felt an unexpected warmth. It wasn't relief, exactly, but a quiet certainty that he had done something meaningful. Not heroic, not life-altering in the grand scheme, but real, and sometimes, he realized, that was enough. Mark and Lily got back in the car, the engine's hum a soothing counterpoint to the lingering adrenaline. Lily yawned, leaning her head against the window. "Daddy, she'll be okay, right?" Mark glanced at the dark road ahead, rain droplets racing down the windshield like tiny tears. "Yeah, pumpkin, she will." For a moment, in the quiet glow of the dashboard, Mark let himself believe it. Sometimes, helping someone else was the first step toward changing your own life too. The rain had returned, tapping lightly against the windowpane as Mark tucked Lily into bed. The apartment smelled faintly of leftover dinner and Lily's lavender-scented shampoo. Mark sank into the worn armchair, rubbing his temples. The day had been long, the bills unpaid, the worries unrelenting. He had almost let himself believe that small acts of kindness didn't ripple far enough to matter. Then came the knock. Mark froze, his heartbeat skipping. Visitors were rare, almost non-existent. He opened the door to find her, the woman from the gas station, standing in the doorway like a ghost from a night he had thought forgotten. She was transformed. Hair neat, clothes pressed and professional, a quiet strength radiating from her posture. And beside her stood a man in a tailored suit, calm and authoritative, with a presence that suggested wealth and power. "Mark," she said softly, her voice carrying the same vulnerability as before but tempered with confidence. "I've been looking for you." Mark blinked. I don't understand." She smiled faintly. "You helped me when I had nothing. When the world felt like it was closing in on me, you chose to care. That night changed everything." The man beside her stepped forward, extending a hand. "I'm David," he said. "I run a recruitment firm." And she's right. Your help didn't just mean a lot to her. It showed a character that is rare. "We want to offer you a job." Mark stared, the words not quite sinking in. A job, here, now. His mind raced. Steady income, benefits, hours that wouldn't swallow him whole. It was the kind of opportunity he had prayed for silently for years, never daring to expect. The woman handed him a small folder. Inside were all the details. A position with flexibility, health benefits for Lily, and a path toward financial stability. "I know it won't fix everything," she said, "but it's a start. You deserve that chance, Mark. You earned it just by being human." Mark swallowed hard, emotion catching in his throat. He glanced at Lily's room, her little feet twitching under the blanket, her soft breathing steady and trusting. She would finally have stability. She would finally know that things could get better. I don't know what to say," he murmured, voice thick. "You don't have to say anything," she replied. "Just let us help you like you helped me." For the first time in months, Mark felt hope rising like sunlight through storm clouds. The woman's tears, the rain, the small act of buying gas and a sandwich, it had all come full circle. Life had returned the favor. That night, Mark lay awake, staring at the ceiling, the folder resting beside him. For once, worry wasn't the loudest sound in his head. Somewhere, quietly, a seed of possibility had been planted. Sometimes, he realized, the smallest kindness could change everything. The first morning sunlight streamed through the windows of Mark's new apartment, casting a golden glow on walls that, until recently, had felt too small, too gray, too heavy with worry. Lily bounded out of bed, her laughter echoing against the freshly painted walls as she twirled in her new dress. For the first time in years, Mark could watch without the constant gnaw of fear in his chest, fear of rent, bills, or what tomorrow might bring. Mark brewed coffee in the kitchen, the aroma mingling with the faint scent of fresh paint. His work bag sat neatly by the door, a symbol of a job he had once only dared to dream of. The recruitment firm had welcomed him with open arms, and his new schedule allowed him to attend Lily's school events, cook dinner without rushing, and even carve out moments for himself. Every day, he felt a little lighter, a little freer. Lily sat at the table, her small hands wrapped around a cup of hot chocolate. "Daddy," she said, eyes shining, "thank you for helping that lady." Mark smiled, setting his cup down beside hers. "You remember her?" "Yes," Lily said firmly. "She was sad. And you helped her. And then, good things happened. Mark laughed softly, a laugh that carried relief, pride, and hope all at once. Yeah, pumpkin, sometimes helping someone else helps you too. He looked out the window at the quiet street below. The city felt different now, softer, less harsh. There was a rhythm to life that he hadn't felt in years, a reminder that even in the darkest storms, small acts of kindness could leave ripples that changed everything. Weeks turned into months. Mark and Lily settled into routines that had once seemed impossible. Grocery shopping no longer felt like a stress test. School drop-offs were calm and even fun. Lily joined dance class, spinning and leaping with joy, while Mark finally slept through the night, free from the constant weight of anxiety. One evening, after tucking Lily into bed, Mark sat on the balcony with a cup of tea, the city lights twinkling like stars below. He thought of the gas station, of the tears, of the woman who had returned with nothing but gratitude and an opportunity that would forever change his life. It was strange, he realized. A single act of kindness had set off a chain reaction, turning a night of despair into a life of hope. He didn't save the world. He had simply helped one person when it mattered most. And somehow, that had been enough to change everything. Mark leaned back in his chair, breathing in the cool night air, listening to the soft hum of life outside. He smiled. For the first time in a long time, everything felt possible. Because sometimes, all it takes is one small moment of compassion to start a new beginning.